Captain Jack Miller had expected many things when his scout ship was captured by the Vex Empire. Torture, interrogation, perhaps a quick execution. What he hadn't expected was to be thrown into a massive containment cell with 3 massive reptilian creatures that the alien guards called dragons. "Enjoy your new companions, human," the lead guard sneered, his translucent skin rippling with amusement. "We're curious to see how long you last." The cell door slammed shut with a resounding clang, leaving Jack alone with the dragons. The chamber was vast, easily the size of a small aircraft hangar, with walls of gleaming metal that rose 20 meters high. Strange symbols crawled across the surface. Containment runes, Jack guessed. In the shadows of the far corners, 3 pairs of glowing eyes tracked his movements. Jack stood perfectly still, controlling his breathing. After 15 years as a special operations soldier before joining the space fleet, he knew when to move and when to wait. This was definitely a time to wait. The first dragon emerged from the shadows. Its scales gleamed a deep crimson in the dim light, and it stood nearly 5 meters tall, with wings folded tightly against its back. A crown of horns adorned its massive head, and steam curled from its nostrils. Fresh meat, it rumbled in a surprisingly understandable language. The translation implant the Vex had roughly inserted into Jack's neck was working. "They always send us the small ones." The second dragon slithered forward, this one smaller, but with scales that shifted colors like oil on water. "This one is different," it hissed. "It doesn't smell like the others." The third dragon remained in the shadows, but Jack could feel its eyes boring into him, calculating. "I'm Captain Jack Miller, Earth Defense Force," Jack said calmly. "I'm not your enemy." The crimson dragon snorted, sending a plume of smoke into the air. "Not our enemy? You're just another experiment they've thrown in to test our abilities." Jack shook his head. "I'm a prisoner, just like you." The iridescent dragon circled him, its tail leaving faint marks in the dust of the floor. "The soft ones have never imprisoned their own kind with us before. You must have done something truly terrible." Jack allowed himself a small smile. "I killed 27 of their soldiers when they boarded my ship." There was a moment of silence, and then a deep, rumbling laugh came from the shadows where the third dragon lurked. 27? The voice was female, older, wiser. "With what weapons?" "My hands, mostly," Jack replied honestly, "and a metal food tray." The third dragon finally emerged, smaller than the others but clearly the eldest, with scales of midnight blue marked with scars from countless battles. Her eyes held an intelligence that the others lacked. "You're not like the other soft creatures they've sent us," she said. "Those were scientists, observers. You're a warrior." Jack nodded. "From what I can tell, so are you. All of you." The crimson dragon snorted again. "We are the last of the Draconis. Our world was the first the Vex conquered. They keep us here to study our resistance to energy weapons. They fear us," the iridescent one added, "as they should." Jack walked to the center of the room, looking up at the observation windows where he knew the Vex scientists were watching. He smiled directly at them. "They fear you because you're powerful," he said. "They fear me because they don't understand humans." The elder dragon tilted her head. "What don't they understand?" "That we evolved as persistence hunters," Jack explained. "We weren't the strongest or fastest, but we never, ever stopped. We can run prey to exhaustion. We heal from wounds that would kill other species. We adapt to nearly any environment." He turned back to the dragons. "But most importantly, we're pack hunters. We form alliances." The crimson dragon growled. "What are you suggesting, human?" "I'm suggesting that one dragon might not be able to escape this cell. 3 dragons might not be able to escape, but 3 dragons and a human who understands Vex technology." Jack grinned. "That's a different story." For 3 days they planned. Jack learned that the dragons, Ember, Shimmer, and the Elder, Night Shadow, had been prisoners for decades. They had tried escaping multiple times, but had always been recaptured or stopped by the containment field generators. Jack studied the guards' routines, the cell's weaknesses, and shared military tactics with his new allies. The dragons, in turn, taught him about Vex vulnerabilities, their sensitivity to certain sound frequencies, their poor vision in infrared ranges. "They're watching us," Night Shadow warned on the fourth day. "They always watch." "Good," Jack replied. "Let them watch. Let them think we're just talking." On the fifth day, the Vex came to take Jack for interrogation. The moment the cell door opened, their plan sprang into action. Ember roared, drawing the guards' attention while Jack slipped behind them. With precise strikes to their neural clusters, knowledge gleaned from Night Shadow, he disabled 3 guards in seconds. Shiver's tail knocked down 2 more, while Night Shadow breathed a concentrated jet of flame that short-circuited the containment fuel generator. Alarms blared throughout the facility as they fought their way to the docking bay. Jack hacked into the ship controls while the dragons formed a protective perimeter, their natural weapons proving devastatingly effective against the Vex technology. "They never expected us to work together," Jack shouted over the chaos as he hot-wired a transport vessel large enough for all of them. That was their mistake. As the ship blasted away from the station, the Vex commander watched in disbelief as his supposedly impregnable prison fell to pieces around him. His second-in-command trembled beside him. "How could this happen?" the commander demanded. "They were just test subjects." "Sir," the second replied, his voice quavering. "Human. Our intelligence was wrong. They aren't the fragile, emotional creatures we thought. They're something else entirely." The commander watched the transport vanish into jump space, carrying away his most valuable specimens and a creature he now realized he'd gravely underestimated. The dragons had been monsters, yes, but the human had been the real nightmare all along.